And we have more breaking news. Opening statements are underway in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial. Prosecutors claim Combs ran a criminal enterprise with his trusted inner circle and committed crime after crime for 20 years.
You ever hear something so insane you think, nah, that can't be real? Well, buckle up, because what just came out about Diddy might actually top everything we've heard so far. A former housekeeper, someone who worked inside his mansion, is now breaking her silence. And what she's claiming is straight up horrifying. We're talking evidence destroyed, panic cleanups, threats, and a level of secrecy that sounds more like a Hollywood thriller than real life. And before you brush it off like just another rumor, remember this isn't some random internet troll. This is someone who allegedly had access to rooms the public never even knew existed. She's not just throwing shade, she's pointing fingers. And it lines up with some of the darkest allegations Diddy's facing right now.
There's been a delay in jury selection in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, the judge postponing the last phase of the process until Monday.
But here's the wild part. This could just be the beginning. Because if what she says is true, this entire investigation might take a very ugly turn. So stay with me, because once you hear what she saw, and what Diddy allegedly tried to wipe off the face of the earth, you'll understand why this is sending shockwaves through the industry. Here's where she enters the picture. And trust me, this isn't just some random ex-employee looking for attention. The woman at the center of this storm is allegedly a former housekeeper who worked inside Diddy's Miami mansion for over 5 years. And if you know anything about how celebrity circles work, 5 years isn't just a job. It's a front row seat to the unfiltered chaos most people will never see.
He sent somebody through somebody else to try to get in contact with me, telling me enough is enough.
Now, for legal reasons, her name hasn't been publicly confirmed yet. Some sources are keeping it under wraps, likely to protect her identity. But what we do know is that she wasn't some background cleaner scrubbing countertops in silence. This woman had full access to Diddy's private quarters, his office, and the so-called VIP zones, where only trusted inner circle staff were allowed. We're talking real access. She reportedly started working at the estate sometime in the late 2000s and 10s, and stuck around well into 2023, which is right around the time Diddy's legal troubles started boiling over. And here's where things get really interesting. According to multiple insider leaks, she was present during several of the now infamous house gatherings that Cassie and other accusers have referenced in their lawsuits.
I love entertaining people. I love watching people have a good time. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the concerts when everybody has a camera up.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that's all of them now.
At my concerts, you dance all night. You can't even get to your phone. You so much in the...
She allegedly saw it all. The setup, the aftermath, the guests stumbling out at sunrise, and most importantly, she witnessed what went on after the headlines hit, when Diddy's camp allegedly went into damage control mode. That's when she says she saw hard drives disappearing, personal journals burned, and shredded documents piling up faster than she could vacuum the carpet. So why does her story matter? Because this isn't someone coming forward a decade later with a fuzzy memory and a grudge. This is someone who was there, who handled the laundry, cleaned the rooms, and by her own account, watched incriminating materials vanish before her eyes. And the fact that she's speaking up now, while the feds are circling and Diddy's lawyers are scrambling, makes her timing impossible to ignore.
A key witness in the Diddy trial has gone missing. This is super concerning because she is crucial for the case against one of the biggest names in music.
This is the part where the whispers become a scream. According to the housekeeper, what she saw inside Diddy's mansion wasn't just weird or over-the-top celebrity behavior, it was criminal. And not just what was happening at the parties, but what happened after the lawsuit started rolling in. She claims that once the Cassie allegations went public and rumors of federal heat started swirling, the entire vibe inside the mansion shifted. No more lavish parties, no more VIPs, just closed doors, locked offices, and frantic cleaning. But not the kind you'd think.
1, 2, 3. I'm not lying. Oh, they beautiful. Thank you guys, I appreciate it. Really nice meeting you.
According to her, staff were told to clean house, literally and figuratively. She describes watching multiple hard drives, several security tapes, and even an entire leather-bound journal being gathered up and destroyed. And get this, one of the hard drives was reportedly taken from a hidden safe in Diddy's personal office. Not a filing cabinet, a safe. She says Diddy gave specific orders to remove certain things before anyone else got access to the home. Items were bagged, boxed, and either thrown into the incinerator on the property or handed off to someone outside who wasn't part of the usual staff.
Today, in a New York federal courtroom, Sean Diddy Combs told the judge he was, quote, a little nervous. The rap mogul's criminal trial began this morning. He is sex trafficking, racketeering, and more.
Her words? It wasn't trash. They were scared, like they were covering something up, like they knew someone was coming. The most disturbing part? She swears that one of the items burned was a black journal that she'd seen Diddy writing in for years. Not business notes, personal stuff, names, dates, entries written in code. She called it his Bible, and once the lawsuit started, it vanished. She also said that one of the tapes showed people who didn't want to be seen, and she remembers that phrase because one of the staff repeated it out loud when they handed the box over. People who didn't want to be seen. Chilling. This wasn't your average spring cleaning. This was panic. This was destruction. And if even half of what she's saying is true, it sounds like someone was trying to wipe away a whole lot more than just dust.
I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
So let's break this down, because the timing here isn't just suspicious, it's surgical. First, Cassie's bombshell lawsuit dropped in November 2023. That alone shook the entire industry. Accusations of trafficking, coercion, physical abuse. It was the kind of lawsuit that didn't just trend for a day and disappear. It lingered. Within 24 hours, Diddy settled, quietly. No admission of guilt, no public trial, just money and silence. But here's the part most people missed. According to the housekeeper, the chaos inside Diddy's mansion didn't start when the lawsuit dropped. It started after the settlement.
This is incredibly disturbing footage, so I do want to warn our viewers, as you did. But as you said, Cassie's lawsuit, which was filed in November of 2023 and then was quickly settled overnight, it did open the floodgates.
When things should have calmed down. She claims that early December 2023, the atmosphere inside the home completely changed. That's when staff were suddenly told not to ask questions. Rooms that were always open were locked. Surveillance cameras inside the house were either turned off or completely removed. And within days, she saw the shredders running in the office, constantly. We're talking thick stacks of paper being fed into machines from dusk till dawn. Then, in March 2024, federal agents raided Diddy's homes in both Los Angeles and Miami. Tactical gear, helicopters, flashing lights. This wasn't a casual visit. It was a coordinated federal operation. But by the time the feds showed up, according to the housekeeper, the house had already been scrubbed clean. That's the timeline. Lawsuit in November, silent settlement, cleanup in December, federal raids in March. If that doesn't raise red flags, what does? And here's what makes it worse. She says the cleanup didn't feel like damage control. It felt like erasure, like they were getting rid of anything that could connect Diddy to what Cassie, and now others, have accused him of. You don't burn journals, wipe hard drives, and kill security feeds because you're trying to tidy up. You do that when you're scared of what someone might find. Here's where things go from eerie to downright terrifying, because the housekeeper didn't just witness a massive cover-up. She's now claiming that since she started speaking out, the pushback has been relentless. At first, she stayed quiet. According to sources close to her, she had signed an NDA, standard practice for anyone working inside Diddy's inner circle. And like many others in the house, she was reportedly paid handsomely to keep her mouth shut. No interviews, no press, just silence. But after the Cassie lawsuit went public and more victims started to speak out, something in her reportedly snapped. She began reaching out, first anonymously, then through a third party, to share what she had seen. Not for fame, not for a book deal, but because, as she put it, if this gets buried, he'll keep doing it. And that's when the threats started. She claims she's received multiple anonymous calls from untraceable numbers. No names, no voices, just messages like, "Be smart," or "You don't want to ruin your life over someone else's business." One call even ended with the sound of a match striking and a voice saying, "We burn things for a reason." Creepy doesn't even begin to cover it. She also says her car was tampered with while parked outside her apartment.
To learn more from the main witness, Cassie Ventura, who is mentioned as alleged victim number 1. Again, 3 people that we are expecting to hear from this week in court: a male escort, an FBI analyst.
Brake lines cut. Luckily, she noticed something was off before getting on the road. Police were called, but no suspects, no charges. And just last week, according to a source, a man posing as a real estate agent came to her door asking if she was interested in relocating quickly. When she said no, He reportedly gave her a smile and said, "Sometimes it's safer to disappear before the heat gets too close," then walked away. Whether these incidents are connected or just coincidence is up for debate, but one thing is clear: someone doesn't want her talking. And yet, she's still moving forward, slowly, carefully, but forward. Which begs the question, what is she holding back? Because if this is just what she's willing to reveal now, what hasn't she said yet? And how far will Diddy's team go to keep the rest of the truth buried? This is where the puzzle pieces start clicking into place, and it gets ugly fast. Remember how Cassie described those twisted freak-off parties in her lawsuit? She said Diddy allegedly orchestrated underground sex-fueled events involving drugs, trafficking, and coercion, using his power and celebrity status to trap women in situations they couldn't escape from. At the time, it sounded surreal. Horrifying, yes, but almost too extreme to believe, until now. Because the housekeeper? She claims she saw direct proof that something like freak off wasn't just a rumor. It was real, and she says it wasn't hidden. It was organized. According to her, certain rooms in Diddy's Miami mansion were off-limits during specific weekends. Those nights, the guest list changed. No staff allowed upstairs. She and others were told to keep the lower floor spotless, play music, and never look toward the camera monitors. But one night, she says she accidentally walked into the wrong room, and what she saw matches exactly what Cassie described. She said there were multiple women, some passed out, some crying, cameras set up, a tray full of pills, men she didn't recognize standing around laughing like it was normal.
I think it's getting a little too late for those who are complicit.
That some were doubting you. Did you ever question, like, am I on the right path?
I never question that. Still don't. Never will.
And in the middle of it, Diddy, calm, commanding, like he was hosting a private show. She didn't say anything at the time. She was scared, but she swears it wasn't the only time it happened. She remembers women being brought in, sometimes flown in, who never gave their names. She remembers staff whispering that they were recruited from outside the city. And she distinctly remembers hearing the term freak off multiple times, not as a joke, as an event name, like it was planned, branded. One of the other house staff even joked, "We better bleach everything before the sun comes up. Freak-off weekends leave too much behind." And maybe the most damning connection? The housekeeper claims she saw Diddy reviewing footage from one of these nights, on a hard drive, alone in his office, just days before it was destroyed. If even half of what she's describing is accurate, it backs up Cassie's lawsuit line for line. These weren't just parties. They were setups. Controlled environments where Diddy allegedly exercised total control, while making sure nothing could trace back to him. At least, until now. Now, you'd think with accusations this explosive, coming from someone inside Diddy's own house, that Hollywood would be flooding the timeline with reactions. But here's what's weird. Almost nobody is saying a word. Since the housekeeper's claims started surfacing through insider leaks and underground blogs, most of the entertainment industry has gone dead silent. No statements, no tweets, no denials. Not even the usual vague, "we support survivors" posts. And that silence? It's loud. But there have been whispers. A few industry insiders, like former Bad Boy affiliates and online personalities who've spoken out before, are hinting that this woman's story lines up with what they've known all along. People like Jaguar Wright have already said publicly that Diddy's parties were ritualistic and that staff members were trained to look the other way. Others have reposted cryptic clips of Diddy being asked about surveillance in interviews, clips that now feel a lot more sinister. Even Uncle Ron, the former bodyguard who's been dropping bombs about Diddy's past for months, reposted one of the leaked claims from the housekeeper on his Instagram story, with just 3 words, "Told y'all, watch." But on the flip side, A-list celebrities who used to praise Diddy, suddenly they're nowhere to be found. No defense, no denial, just vanishing. It's almost like people are waiting to see how this shakes out before they pick a side. And Diddy's legal team? Radio silence. Not one press release, not one rebuttal, not even a shady PR smear campaign aimed at the housekeeper, which is very out of character considering how aggressively they've gone after others. Why the quiet? Because silence in this industry usually means one thing. They know it's bad. And when the people who were once proud to stand next to you in VIP start pulling back in public, that's not just shade, that's survival. Here's the million-dollar question. Can anything this housekeeper said actually be used against Diddy in court? Because let's be real, allegations are one thing. Legal consequences? That's another beast entirely. But according to legal analysts who've been following the case closely, this woman's testimony could seriously change the game.
Everyone knew he was the devil. He's He's been the devil for 30 years. He's been covered and protected by not only Clive Davis, but Lucian Grange.
If investigators can verify what she's saying, let's break it down. If her claims about Diddy intentionally destroying evidence, like hard drives, journals, or surveillance footage, are true, then that's not just shady behavior. That's obstruction of justice, straight up. Under federal law, destroying potential evidence during an active investigation or in anticipation of one is a criminal offense. We're talking years behind bars. Even worse for Diddy, if prosecutors can prove that he ordered others to help cover things up, like directing staff to incinerate materials or wipe electronics, that could turn into a conspiracy charge, meaning it's no longer just about what he did, but what he made others do. And the housekeeper? She could be called to testify. Her first-hand account, especially if supported by timelines, staff schedules, or even partial documentation, could back up existing witness claims in Cassie's lawsuit, or even feed into potential RICO charges. Yes, RICO, the same law used to take down organized crime groups. Because if the feds determine that these weren't isolated incidents, but part of a larger pattern of trafficking, cover-ups, and coercion involving multiple people and locations, then Diddy's legal nightmare could be just beginning. And get this, if the housekeeper kept anything, a note, a copy, a voicemail, even a text from another staff member panicking about the cleanup, that's enough to reopen sealed evidence paths or push investigators to dig deeper into what was destroyed. As one former prosecutor told the Shade Room last week, if she's telling the truth and willing to testify, this could flip the entire case on its head. So while the public might still be catching up on what she said, the courts, they're listening. And if this thing escalates, Diddy might not be able to pay his way out this time. So now the question isn't if something shady went down, it's how much more is still hidden. Because let's be real, if a housekeeper, someone who wasn't even in the spotlight, is coming forward with claims this detailed, this disturbing, you gotta wonder who else knows something and just hasn't spoken yet. Bodyguards, assistants, drivers, people who've been right next to Diddy while all this was happening, they're watching this unfold. And if one person cracks, more could follow. And that's what's got people in the industry sweating. Right now, Diddy's team is staying quiet. Hollywood is staying quiet. But the pressure is mounting. Investigators are circling. And the internet? It's already connecting the dots. We might be witnessing the early stages of a full-blown collapse. Not just of a reputation, but of a legacy that was built on power, money, and now, possibly, silence and fear. But what do you think? Is the housekeeper telling the truth? Or is there more to this story than even she knows? Either way, stick around, because if this is how the truth is starting to leak out, the next wave might be explosive.